Hey guys, Harv here, and welcome back to Space Tourism, episode 20. Episode 20! That's too many episodes to keep count of, so I'm going to end the series here, and begin an entirely new series in the next episode. Episode 1, for the second time. Yes, episode 20. In the previous episodes, we did a hell of a lot, not least, let me turn the volume down, not least, landing our plane at this pad, and successfully refueling it. Now this is good because it means we can undock from the pad and we can try and get it into an orbit and put it in a parking orbit around Lathe. Reason being that we can then use it to ship more people down onto the surface and grow the base that way. Now some of you are going, what? Second series? What? Why? It's mainly because we're finished with Lathe. In fact, hang on, how long is this video? This video is currently 26.5 minutes long-ish. So in about 25 minutes time, we will be finished with Lathe. So, we've reversed away from our platform, we've got ourselves a little bit of a run up, and then we're going to throw ourselves into a rock. Through a rock, and then we're going to throw ourselves off the edge of a cliff, and yes. There we go. So, we are successfully in the atmosphere, we are successfully flying, and now it's just time to do what this plane is intended to do. Single stage to orbit. Now, doing single stage to orbit on Lathe is quite interesting. There are a few differences that make it... It doesn't make it easier or harder. I guess it's easier to do than on Kerbal because you have less chance to stay in atmosphere, so there's less things to worry about. However, there are a few complications over doing it on Kerbal. For example, the atmosphere gets really thin really quickly on Lathe. We're 5 kilometers up and we're already dropping in our atmospheric pressure like no man's business. In fact, we get up to 12 kilometers and you see the top right, the intake air falls below 0.4 in just a few moments, which will cause us to flame out. Right about now. There it goes. Flame out. And this is okay. I spin round. I attempt to pull it back and I turn off 2 of the engines. Turn them back on, turn on our rocket engine, turn off those engines because there's not enough air to support them, and carry on burning. 30 kilometers up, and I'm burning, and that seems to be okay. However, I'm thinking at this point, which is why I click quick load, I'm thinking at this point that I can do it more efficiently. I must be able to do it more efficiently. I flamed out, I did the spin, that's definitely not efficient whatsoever. So what should I do differently? Perhaps I should stay in the atmosphere a bit more. Get my speed up. So I get up to altitude, get up to 5 kilometers, get up to 12 kilometers nearly, and then go for a much more shallow approach, trying to keep the intake air and to gain as much speed as possible. And in theory this is a good idea. However, I'm of the opinion that it would actually take less fuel just to try and launch myself straight up out the atmosphere, and as soon as the intake air gets too low, cut it and carry on with rocket. Go at a 45-degree angle the entire way. I actually think that would do better due to the low gravity of the moon. So we swap away from 4 engines and then we turn off our second pair of engines, and now we're just on rocket fuel. And as you can see, our trajectory isn't nearly as good as it was. We've turned on the engine a lot sooner, which means we're going to be burning a lot more fuel. It's the atmosphere that's the problem, not the gravity. So it makes sense just to try and get out the atmosphere as soon as possible, using as minimal fuel as possible by extension of turbojets, and then just use the rocket fuel afterwards. So I'm thinking, if I ever am to come off of Lathe again, which is doubtful in the situation with my plans for the future of this series, then I'll just go back to doing it how I accidentally ended up doing it the first time. But no matter, things are continuing smoothly, relatively smoothly. We're going to get our apoapsis up to about 70 kilometers because that seems to be plenty high above the surface. In fact, above the atmosphere, I believe Lathe's atmosphere ends at about... what is it, 52 kilometers? Oh, I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, 70 kilometer orbit works. So we get up to the apoapsis, we burn, complete our orbit, 70 kilometers circular, there we go. And now it is time to swap away to this craft. Our orbiting fuel depot, which, as I've constantly referred to it as, a ginormous failure. This thing is in orbit the wrong way, and now it is finally time to actually come to reverse its orbit. Originally, I was saying for the longest time, actually, oh, I just need to deorbit this thing, it's pointless, there's no reason to have it here. But I might as well try. I mean, we're not going to kill Bob and Bill. Bob and Bill Ackerman are one of the major three, and therefore they must succeed at all costs. Jebediah Kerman is down being a mechanic on lathe, as punishments for his sins. So we try and get this thing up, and the secret to burning and reversing your orbit isn't just to reverse your direction immediately. Then you'll probably end up falling down into the atmosphere. What we want to do is burn up till we have a high enough apoapsis. I'm going a bit too high. I end up having it about 550, which is way too high. I could have done it with a lot less fuel having been spent. But it means we get up to higher apoapsis, we're travelling slower, we have more chance to reverse the direction of our orbit before we horribly die. So here we are, in our weird 270 degrees orbit. We time warp ourselves up to the apoapsis, which is a number, a certain number of kilometers up, and actually we end up a bit too late, so yeah, you can see in real time how quickly that's approaching. We actually will be falling down sooner than expected. Time to get burning, or more accurately, time to get transferring fuel, seeing as we were running out. Yeah, so this entire mission was actually kind of a failure. I ended up spending more fuel than I brought here, I think. Oh, we shall see. We might end up with a little fuel left over after doing this burn, who knows. I do, because I've recorded the episode. So, burning retrograde, our periapsis comes down within the atmosphere, and then within the surface. We eventually get to the point where we're about to be falling straight down towards the surface, get to that point, and then swap and start going in the opposite direction. From there, we just need to carry on burning, raise out the periapsis from its subsurface level. And no, unfortunately, the fuel tank does entirely run out of fuel. So we undock from it, we burn our engines, and we carry on burning regardless. So all that we succeeded in doing, essentially, is wasting a lot of fuel, and we've brought the crew over here to dock with the SSTO that is currently in orbit. And of course, that is the next plan, dock with the SSTO. So, set up some maneuver nodes, do some orbital mechanics thingamajiggies. At this point, it probably would have been wise to set up our target earlier. We actually don't have our target procedure, which isn't telling us, and therefore it isn't telling us how far away our closest approach is. And we probably could have got our encounter a lot sooner, but it doesn't really matter. Eventually we come down, we bring our orbit, match it somewhat, and we get our encounter of 7.5 kilometers away. Time warping now, going around the planet, get even closer, and we can adjust it and make it so that it is nice and level. Whew. Yes. I've got a lot of things to talk about today. A lot of things to talk about. The first thing I want to say is that I went to Space Day. Space Day 2014 near Birmingham in Droitwich. Something I was talking about for a very long time on the channel. Past few episodes, all of the descriptions have had links to meet me on January 11th, and that's where I went. And about 10 people went to Space Day, and some travelled hours. A guy called Adrian travelled like 4 hours there and back. 8 hours in total, just to get there. Which was quite crazy, the dedication just to meet a famous YouTuber. Not that I really consider myself as famous, it's internet famous, right? Very different to real famous. Anyway, so a lot of people came, it was very interesting. The actual event itself was about time and space, and it may be a topic for a future scientific-based video. Although, I don't know if he's got a patent on the actual script. Maybe I could just copy what he said word for word. Jerry Stone this is, fantastic presenter. Jerry Stone, really, really good. Anyway, I'll continue talking about that in a second. For now, we have docked, and now it's time to bring out our capsules. So, we orbit, we launch, we orbit, and then more orbiting, and then transfer, and then burn, and then transfer, and then more transferring, and then Jool, and then aerobrake, and then orbit, and here we are. So, as I was saying, Space Day 2014 was very, very interesting. A lot of people came. I was talking for the entire day, which you'd think I'd be used to by now, but still I was shattered by the end of it. It was incredibly fun though, and it was very nice to meet you all, those of you who came. Future events where you could meet me if you did manage to miss this one. I'm probably going to be at EGX Resd in Birmingham at the NEC. Though the likelihood of you actually finding me there is quite slim. Apparently Polaris are doing something, so I'm going with them. I don't know exactly how that's working. The details haven't really been told yet. But hopefully it'll be something interesting, and hopefully it'll be something that I can actually say, yep, I'm definitely in Polaris, guys. I haven't been moved to RPM. Ugh, and all that controversy. Anyway, moving on, back to the video for now. We have plenty of time to talk about the numerous different things in the future of this video. I think I'm going to undershoot, so I try and burn up with the remainder of my fuel. It runs out, I detach, open up the parachutes, and I seem to be almost dead on until we just overshoot it. If I hadn't burned upwards with those nuclear engines at that point, I probably would have been fine. That's quite annoying. Although, perhaps not as annoying as what is about to happen, because yes, the last time we attempted to do this, it didn't end particularly well for the first few attempts, and similarly, it isn't going to end particularly well for these first few attempts. Reason being, KSP does not like the idea of landing rovers. No idea why. Really, it gets me down, I can tell you that. Whatever I do for the charity live streams, I am not going to be landing rovers. At least not that fast. It's probably my fault for landing them too fast. Look at this. KSP does not like landing rovers, but sure likes breakdancing, apparently. Anyway, we finally get one, we bring it down, and it just about succeeds. The back docking port is broken off, but there's still one available on that one, and this one we have here has got both still available. So we've got them both down, we quick save, make sure everything's okay, and it is. Now it's time for Jebediah to run back to his rover and to be Repairman Jeb. Again. That's his role. That's his role in this expedition. So as you can see, we're basically setting up in a functional base. These two cartridges, or canisters as I was calling them, these two canisters make up fuel for another 2 SSTOs. And I actually get a bit worried at this point, because I turn around, I burn, or I drive, unfamiliar terminology in a space game, I drive down to this side, and the canister's broken. First thing I think is, oh crikey, the canister's broken, oh, is this something to do with the changing the craft? Did it explode? And then I realised that, hang on, there was only one there. There was only one, so maybe they just overshot me, and I need to drive this way, and that ends up being the case. So, I briefly mentioned charity live streams. I did, indeed, for a reason. There are going to be 2, not 1, but 2 charity live streams over the course of this year, 2014. One in February half term, which is about the 20th something of February. I think it's about then. And that is going to be a fundraising event for an educational trip to Russia. To subsidise the costs of accommodation and travel of my fellow classmates and myself, going to Korolev in Russia, which is basically the hub of Russia's mission control, their space program, a secret city, and it's going to be really quite fantastic. Now, of course, there are problems with this, in that it's not a charity live stream. This is a fundraising event. This is your personal gain, Harvey. Any money you raise should surely be going to charity. And I agree. It's sad to waste what is, but the potential to help hundreds of people, if not thousands. I could beat last time and get thousands on just sending myself to Russia and a few other classmates. However, that's why we're going to be doing 2. So I'm doing one more personally focused fundraising event in February, and leaving it a while in summer, I'm going to be doing another charity water live stream to raise money to provide clean water in places such as Ethiopia, where people die of it every day. Die of the lack of clean water, that is. It's definitely a worthy cause, and I feel that I have potential to support both of my more personal and my more ethical interests. So hopefully no one's going to be an idiot and say that it's ethically wrong for me to fundraise for an educational event, because it clearly isn't. But I am still going to be doing the charity one regardless, because that's what I want to do. I very much want to do both of them. So it will be February something something and probably June or July something something. More details do come in the future. Is that about it? I swear there was some more news. Something going on. Career mode? Oh no, something going on. A second channel. HOCgaming MKII. Also known as Mark II. Which is a second channel that has been set up by myself purely for the exportation of streams. Now what I've been doing for the past few weeks is recording footage for this video, Space Tourism, and for Career Mode, live on air, and then editing it down and commentating over it as I'm doing right now. Unfortunately, because I don't want to repeat the same video content, I don't upload those streams to this channel. And yet, they are quite entertaining in the opinion of the people who consistently watch them. So it would be worth it for people who aren't around to watch the streams live, it would be worth it for them to be on YouTube. Hence HOCgaming Mark II. A channel where purely irregular, inconsistent and less entertaining and lower quality videos will be uploaded for your viewing convenience. There'll be a link in the description, and on my channel page there is a link to it there. Other stuff that may be going on there includes, I don't know, vlogs? No, I'm not going to be doing vlogs. Any lazy content that I don't deem necessarily fit for this channel, because I have quite high standards. I try and make them, I try and make videos on this channel as interesting as possible. Anything that's less interesting probably won't be on there. Or will be on there and won't be on here. Anyway, going back to our Jool space station. Wow, it's been long since we've been here. It must have been, it's actually 12 years old. This space station is 12 Kerbin years, it's 12 Earth years old. Which is pretty damn old. And it's going to continue to get older as we're going to continue to use it into the series. We have our crew transport vessel, which has came all the way out from Kerbin, docked to the space station, and is now transporting its crew, or its tourists more accurately. These ones are actually tourists. Transporting them out here to Lathe, where they're going to dock with the SSTO, and then they are going to take the SSTO down onto the surface. Oh, it's like a bus. I've been saying how Matka Kerman is this fabled pilot, the only one who can pilot the SSTO, when in reality, he's a bus driver. Bear that in mind. So the crew come round, the crew get into orbit around Lathe, and somewhere in the sky, there it is, 21 kilometers away, is our navigation marker for our target spacecraft, which consists of our crew transport vessel, which is docked to our spaceplane. I'm getting a bit closer, 300 meters, and I resist the temptation to start counting down the numbers, because I don't have anything else to say. However, oh, okay, that's interesting. Nope, never mind, carry on, as you were. Do I have anything else? Any other news? Anything else in particular? Lack of videos recently. It's been over 4 days since the last video was uploaded, which is a shame. I would have uploaded a video if I hadn't been landed with 4 hours of work each night from school, which is quite annoying. You'd think that now the mock exams have gone and we're just waiting for the GCSE exams in a few months' time, you'd think we'd have a bit of a break, but no! No, they pile on the pressure, and it's really quite annoying. So, I'm not sure how often I'm going to be able to reach my 3 videos a week quota. I'm hoping regularly. I need to work harder to actually meet that, but at the same time, I'm not going to impair my education by doing so. I'm not going to let school get in the way of my education. So, it depends. We'll see. It's going to be quite relaxed, I think. Ooh, my monitors have just gone standby. No, don't do that. Oh, I'll commentate blind. I'm commentating blind. By now, we've probably nearly almost docked. Yes, that's probably a docking. And what did we do next? What did we... Oh, my monitors come back on. Yes, we're transferring Kerbals. We are moving Kerbals from their hitchhiker storage container down into our SSTO. And we can imagine what this would be like for the tourists. You know, it would be Emergency exits are directly above you. Please find your seat and make sure your tray table is secure. Thank you very much for flying HOCgaming Vacuum. Or is it? No, Vacuum HOCgaming. Damn, I got the joke wrong. Bah. Vacuum HOCgaming. Vacuum Space Tourism. We hope you have a pleasant flight, and now over to your captain. Matsuka Kerman here, and it's looking like it's dark, and we're gonna be undocking now, and croaky voice. That is, I need to get higher quality of content. You know, videos, my video quality really isn't particularly high. It's not particularly funny. I should just stop. I should uninstall. It was actually quite interesting. It was quite an insight into how people view me. In that people do kind of view me as a famous YouTuber, and that's weird because I don't think I deserve it. Actually, well, I don't know. I do put a lot of time and effort into this, and I have done a few good. I have done quite a few good things with this channel. You know, raising money to save 500 people. I shouldn't say save. Save is really the right terminology. Raising money to alleviate water stress for up to 500 people. So, yeah. I suppose I do good. I suppose it's a good thing that I'm in this position. And I'm very thankful for it, because hopefully YouTube will become my part-time living. And who knows, even my full-time living. We shall see. The main thing I asked the people at Space Day the other day was, what do you want to see from me? What do you enjoy most? The main response was space tourism. Space tourism is my best content. It used to be moon-based, but now it's space tourism because moon-base is finished. And from there, what should I do in the future? And people didn't really know. People were suggesting games. You know, War Thunder was one that was suggested by a little kid who was very knowledgeable in the subject. I don't really know where I want to take the channel. And that lack of knowledge is worrying. I want to carry on doing KSP. I am going to carry on doing KSP. You couldn't stop me doing KSP. I've got plenty of good ideas in the future, including an IVA-based series, which is going to be very interesting, coming after Career Mode finishes. Got plenty of Career Mode episodes left. We've got plenty of space tourism to happen in the future, on Val or Tylo or somewhere in the Jool System. I've got that Harv Plays series that I announced, although I'm thinking of changing the title to Harv Presents, or HOCgaming Presents, because I could start off with, hey guys, Harv here, and allow me to present War Thunder, or StarCraft 2, or whatever. But I haven't really made any of those videos yet, because A, lack of time, and B, I don't know if they're entertaining. That's the problem. I set my standards so high for this channel that I feel like just Let's Playing isn't worthy of being on here. Although technically I suppose what I'm doing right now could just be Let's Play. Sure, it's post-commentary Let's Play, but it's Let's Play at the end of the day. There's very little informative content that goes into these videos. Other than, hey, this is an example of how to successfully play the game. It's basically void of all science. Majority of the episodes. It didn't used to be like that. Episodes used to be quite full of science until I realised that I was getting the science wrong, and then I became a bit more wary about talking about science, unless I prepared it specifically, such as in the gravity gradient stabilization video, which is another series I'm continuing to do, although again, time constraints. The time gets to me. Ah well. Eventually, we bring our space tourism, our space tourists, and our plane down onto the surface of Lave. And I can tell you, at this point, flying this plane this close to the surface felt really fast. I guess it was really fast because it was 160 meters per second, but it felt like we were really swooping kind of noises. And I was going to go in for a landing here until I thought, landing on a slope going towards my base, perhaps not the best of ideas. So we merely fly by the base, waving down at all the tourists. And then we fly over our canisters, waving down at all the probe bodies. And we'll turn around, because I think that the way I took off at the very start of the episode, going towards the sea, in that direction, just a bit further back inland, is quite a good landing path. It's quite flat, as you can see, quite level. And we'll bring ourselves over here, the tourists getting a good view of the scenery out of their windows. In fact, you know what, let's give them a better view. Woo! Like that. This plane is very, very nice. So, as we come over, we've basically covered the entirety of what we've achieved so far. We have a base, we have a refueling pad, and we have Jebediah Kerman down there on the surface. We may have to recollect Jebediah and Bill and Bob and send them out to the new base to work on that. Whatever the case, it'll be in the new episode, and hopefully it will continue to be entertaining for however long Space Tourism goes on for. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Space Tourism. That is the end of Series 1. Series 2 will commence pretty much immediately with no discernible break in episodes. I'm just going to call it Series 2 because, you know, new things. Might change the thumbnail layout, who knows. I find that the new videos, the first videos of any series, always get the most views. Or almost always get the most views. Which is a good motive for prematurely beginning new series quite often, I think. Space Tourism, Episode 20. And that's about it. We land, we safely bring ourselves down with all of our 4 tourists. And what we should do is drop them off at the base, but actually I forget to do this. And I'm just going to go over to the canister. To the canisters, plural. And we're going to finish off about then. So, as the music draws to a close, thank you very much for watching Space Tourism. I hope you enjoyed it. This has been good for us. Lathe has been good for us. And I shall see you all next time. Oh, by the way, before I leave, if you are creating an indie game and you need people to voice it, then contact me at HOCgamer on Twitter or HOCgaming@live.co.uk via email. I'm looking to do more voice acting, all the voice actings. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. How many times do I have to say that?